Lightning Network provides a solution to the key problem preventing Bitcoin from being useful in our daily lives: scaling. Bitcoin's massive jump in popularity exposed the scaling problem by highlighting its slow transaction times and resulting high transaction fees while the network is under load. Slow transaction times. The Bitcoin blockchain is simply a digital ledger comprised of blocks of confirmed transactions. These blocks are limited to 1 megabyte in size, and new blocks are added to the chain in approximately 10-minute intervals. However, the original block size can now theoretically reach sizes up to 4 megabytes using a technique called SegWit, segregated witness. This means that legacy Bitcoin transactions are limited to about 4 to 7 transactions per second, and SegWit Bitcoin transactions can reach up to 16 to 28 transactions per second. Putting this into perspective, the traditional credit card companies can process tens of thousands of transactions per second. High transaction fees. Bitcoin transactions around the globe are constantly being broadcast to the Bitcoin network and collected into the mempool, memory pool. Miners then work their way through the mempool by bundling transactions to be included in the next block. The order in which miners bundle transactions is driven by which transactions offer to pay the highest fees. For this reason, a high volume of transactions, combined with slow transaction times, naturally leads to higher transaction fees. The Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is an off-chain solution to each of these problems. This means that rather than transactions occurring directly on the Bitcoin blockchain, they take place on an entirely new transaction system that uses the Bitcoin blockchain as its foundation. This concept is commonly referred to as a Layer 2 solution. I won't go into exactly how the Lightning Network functions, there are plenty of YouTube videos you can reference, but in general, the Lightning Network allows users to deposit Bitcoin into payment channels, checking accounts, which are used to send and receive near-instant payments. Users can either open payment channels directly with each other or route payments through hubs, nodes on the network with sufficient liquidity, banks, on the way to the final recipient. Hubs also earn a small fee for helping efficiently route transactions through the network. Essentially, the Lightning Network is the digital upgrade to the banking system as we know it today. It's important to note that these Lightning banks will have no control over your funds, and they provide no recourse if a bad actor attempts to steal your funds. That being said, legislators may be able to target the Lightning banks in an attempt to regulate the system. Conclusion: Bitcoin alone cannot function as both a secure decentralized currency and a high-speed payment network. Allowing Bitcoin to focus on being a secure decentralized currency while implementing a separate payment network is an important step towards stabilizing Bitcoin. This sounds great, but there are still a couple lingering problems: Bitcoin's speculative valuation and the natural obsolescence of all technology. In 100 years, when the final Bitcoin is mined, we would have spent at least $76 billion, $3,625 per Bitcoin, in electricity on the project. However, is it realistic to assume that no better technology will arise in 100 years to replace Bitcoin? The first credit card was launched in 1958, and Bitcoin was created only 51 years later in 2009. What happens to the credit card networks if Bitcoin, combined with a Lightning Network, becomes the de facto worldwide currency and payment network? The credit card networks become obsolete. Can we really call Bitcoin a store of value that commands such a high premium above its cost when it will eventually become obsolete? Disclosure: we have no positions in any stocks mentioned, and no plans to initiate any positions within the next 72 hours. I wrote this article myself, and it expresses my own opinions. I am not receiving compensation for it, other than from seeking alpha. I have no business relationship with any company whose stock is mentioned in this article.